Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Tom.
Hey, it's day 2 of our literature unit. We're talking about the classic novel, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Yeah, this is a fun story. It is for kids, but it's also something that adults can appreciate as well. I think we mentioned in the first program that this has also been made into a movie, and Tom saw that.
Many years ago, and I wonder if they made sequels. I seem to have the impression that there were sequels.
Yeah.
But again, these movies happened many years ago, or at least they came to theaters a long time ago. And it's a good way to check out this story if you don't think your vocabulary is sufficient enough to actually read the book. But I think this book was written with young readers in mind, so it shouldn't be that bad. I suggest that you try to find the book somewhere. But in any case, we're talking about the adventures of Peter, Susan, and Lucy. And where we left off, I believe they were about to meet the king of Aslan, the king of Narnia, Aslan himself. So let's get to it. Let's find out what happens next. Let's read the entire contents, and we'll be right back.
Peter, Susan, and Lucy never expected that Aslan, the king Mr. Beaver spoke of, would be a lion. He is massive and glorious, and his presence fills them with joy, awe, and fear. On learning of their suspicions that Edmund is with the White Witch, he dispatches brave animals to rescue the misguided boy. Edmund has a long talk with Aslan, and his treachery is forgiven by both the Great Lion and Edmund's siblings. Edmund isn't safe for long, though, as the White Witch comes to claim him again. According to the ancient laws of Narnia, traitors belong to her. Aslan offers himself in Edmund's place, and the witch gleefully accepts this exchange. That night, she and her evil army mock Aslan before killing him. She betrays her promise to leave Narnia in peace and attacks Aslan's people. The fight is hard, but Edmund offers a piece of vital knowledge. Without her wand, the witch can't use her magic that turns people to stone. At great cost to himself, he breaks the wand. Despite these efforts, Aslan's people are nearly defeated when suddenly Aslan appears. He has come back from the dead, bringing an army of creatures freed from the White Witch's curse. With their assistance, the battle is won, and Lucy, Edmund, Susan, and Peter are crowned kings and queens of Narnia. Many years later, they are riding through the woods when they see something odd. They follow it and find themselves back in the wardrobe, back in England, back to being children. They will never forget their adventures, though, and always retain the noble bearing they learned as royalty in Narnia.
Okay, let's get to it. Let's discuss the contents of today's lesson. We're continuing to summarize The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And they're in the magical land of Narnia. They all got there through the wardrobe, and they've met lots of characters there. And finally, they have just met the lion, and the lion's name is Aslan. And Peter, Susan, and Lucy never expected that Aslan, the king Mr. Beaver spoke of, would be a lion. And, of course, I guess kids like lions, and he is massive and glorious, and his presence fills them with joy, awe, and fear. So yeah, he's a lion. We love lions. They're very beautiful creatures. And they've got the mane of fur on their head, and they've got those cute tails and stuff like that, and pretty faces, and they have that loud roar and stuff like that. So, of course, lions are big. They're massive. Massive just means really, really big. If you've been working all day at the office and people are asking you for all sorts of things, you might have a massive headache at the end of the day.
Yeah, he's not like real lions, the kind that would probably see these kids and maybe take a big bite out of one of them and eat them. No, this lion is very friendly, but he is very big and glorious. So they really like being around him. So on learning of their suspicions that Edmund is with the White Witch, he dispatches brave animals to rescue Edmund or the misguided boy. Now, if you have suspicions that something is true, you have a feeling or a thought that something is probably true or likely. We often will use that phrase if someone's making fun of you, but you're not quite sure. You might say, hey, I have a sneaking suspicion that you're mocking me, that you're making fun of me, although you're not quite sure. So that suspicion that something's true is just that feeling that something is possible or likely or probably true. So they have the suspicions, all of them feel like, hey, we think that Edmund is actually with that White Witch, the evil White Witch.
Yep, they suspect Edmund is with the White Witch, with the White Witch. And, of course, they have these suspicions that Edmund is with the White Witch. I did not realize that that was actually a tongue twister there. With the White Witch. Say that several times and see if it twists your tongue there. But in any case, they have found out, the lion has found out that Edmund is with the White Witch, so he dispatches brave animals to rescue the misguided boy. So the lion, of course, has just met these kids, and they say, hey, we're concerned about our brother. He's kind of lost his mind. He's with the White Witch right now. He does not realize that she's a bad witch. So can you help us out here? And the lion says, sure, I'll send some brave animals to rescue that boy. So here we've got the verb to dispatch, which means you send something out, especially if you have the authority to do so. Like the police, for example, might dispatch some officers so they can go to the scene of a crime or something like that and catch the bad guy. And if you're misguided, that means, well, yeah, somebody is fooling you and they are controlling you.
Yeah, you probably have made a bad decision, or maybe you have some bad judgment. And maybe some of you out there have had an experience where you made friends with someone you thought would be fun and nice, but turns out that that person's not a very loyal friend. Maybe you were misguided in picking them as a friend. Well, Edmund is certainly misguided. And as Tom said, good old Aslan, he sent these brave animals to rescue Edmund, even though Edmund kind of deserves what he gets. I can't imagine being disloyal to your brothers and sisters. I think that's awful. Well, Edmund has a long talk with Aslan, and his treachery is forgiven by both the great lion and Edmund's siblings. His brother and sisters say, oh, it's okay, we love you, we forgive you, even though you were a jerk for a while. So he also has a long talk with Aslan, who probably is quite wise and has a lot of advice to give to Edmund. When you talk about treachery, that's a noun. It just means someone betrayed you. They were disloyal to you. And treachery is something you never want anyone to accuse you of. Ooh, he is treacherous. That is the adjective form. You don't want people to say that about you. It means that you would betray anybody close to you.
Yep, so of course he has this treachery. He's a bad boy. He's misguided. And this lion here is pretty cool. He forgives Edmund, and the kids, his siblings, also forgive him. Again, he was misguided. Maybe he just needed to talk to somebody and get him straightened out. That doesn't always happen, though. Some people think that all you got to do is talk to somebody and they'll be all right. No, some people are just rotten to the core. But it does seem that Edmund is not beyond help here. So, yeah, the lion helps him out, and his siblings are forgiving. And so I guess he's an okay kid after all. But Edmund isn't safe for long, though, as the White Witch comes to claim him again. The White Witch hasn't forgotten that she kind of owns him, or she kind of controls him. And according to the ancient laws of Narnia, traitors belong to her. A traitor, of course, is somebody who betrays someone else. Of course, if you're fighting in an army, for example, like I guess during the American Revolution, there was this guy called Benedict Arnold. He was a member of the American Army at first, but later he quit the Americans and joined the British, so he became a traitor. He's considered a national traitor, and sometimes we refer to somebody as a Benedict Arnold if they betray you in some way.
Right, so Aslan offers himself in Edmund's place. So, according to the ancient law, Edmund has to be taken back by the White Witch. But Aslan is such a nice guy, such a good king. He said, no, I will go with you in Edmund's place. If you go in someone's place, it means you exchange. You go and they stay. So one time we went to an amusement park and my sister got sick. She had the flu, so I went in her place. I just took her ticket and went. I wasn't going to go originally, but when she got sick, I got to go in her place. That's how we use that phrase.
Unfortunately, I've heard of the instance where somebody was supposed to take a test, and it was a big test, and they weren't going to check everybody, so maybe somebody else went in their place to take the test for them.
That's cheating.
That's cheating, of course, and maybe they don't do that so much anymore because it's easier to catch people with surveillance cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true.
But in any case here, Aslan offers himself in Edmund's place. I'll go so you don't have to, and the witch gleefully accepts this exchange. Glee just means happiness, so if you're gleeful, you're very happy about something. And we're happy right now. We're very gleeful because we have the chance to hear from our Chinese teacher. Let's listen.
大家好，我是派老师。今天讲解的是9月份 Unit4 Discover the Magical Land of Narnia in the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe 第2天的课程。在纳尼亚传奇当中 ，Lucy 躲在衣橱里。而后无意间进入了这个传奇的王国，故事从此开始，一连串的惊奇就此揭开序幕。Edmund 很贪心善妒，他投靠了黑暗力量 White Witch。相对的，光明的这一方 Peter、Susan and Lucy 终于见到了 Aslan。原来他是万兽之王，狮子，魁梧尊荣。他马上派人解救 Edmund。而且宽恕了 Edmund 的背叛，但是 White Witch 还是来要人。根据 Narnia 的古法，所有叛徒都是他的人。Aslan 牺牲自己代替 Edmund， 受到了嘲弄和杀害。以上是第一个段落大致的情节。我们现在一起来看这段落的英文学习重点吧。首先，请看到第3句 On learning of their suspicions 这一句。请同学把 on learning of 画起来 on 加上 VING 就是一怎么样就怎么样，所以呢这里说到的是他一听到一了解到他们有所怀疑。接下来请看到第4句 Edmund has a long talk with Aslan and his treachery。 好，请看 treachery 的意思是背信忘义的作为。Treachery 有一个形容词是 treacherous， T-R-E-A-C-H-E-R-O-U-S。 当形容词是危险的、危机四伏的。比方说，天气不太好，很有可能容易出意外事故 treacherous weather。 或者呢，路面崎岖不平，容易出事故 treacherous road。容易出意外事故的路况。再来，请看到第5句 Edmund isn't safe for long, though。 这 though 是但是然而 Edmund 呢也没有办法长时间的保持安全。 As the White Witch comes to claim him again。 这里 as 是因为，后面这个 claim 是指认领。接下来请看到第6句Aslan offers himself in Edmund's place。 请把这个 in Edmund's place 画起来，就是亚斯兰他自愿代替 Edmund， in one's place 就是代替他。 好，我们举个例句来看。This training course has very strict rules. 这个训练课程规定很严格。Once you sign up and pay, 你一旦报名而且付钱了 ，No one can attend in your place. 没有人可以呢替补你的位置来上课。No one can attend in your place.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We are continuing to summarize our featured work of literature for the month of September, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Now, where we left off, Edmund was talking to the king of Narnia, the big lion, Aslan. Aslan kind of straightened the boy out, and his brothers and sisters forgave him. But the White Witch still wants Edmund. I guess he was kind of promised to her. He was kind of a disciple of the White Witch. So she has come to claim him. He's mine. And, of course, that's according to the laws of Narnia. Traitors belong to her. And Aslan, I guess, recognizes this law, and he offers himself in Edmund's place. And the witch, of course, happily, gleefully accepts this exchange. And that night, she and her evil army mock Aslan before killing him. If you mock somebody, you kind of make fun of them. Oftentimes, you kind of make fun of their speech. If someone's talking, like you would say, "Hello, everybody, how are you?" "Hello, everybody, how are you?" "I'm just fine, thank you." "I'm just fine, thank you." That's what you do when you mock someone. You kind of make fun of what they're saying.
Kids do that a lot, actually. So they mock him. Remember, he is the king. And they're mocking a king because they have total control over him. And after they mock him, of course, they kill him. And this White Witch betrays her promise to leave Narnia in peace. And she attacks Aslan's people. So she had promised that, yes, if you give me Aslan, I will then leave Narnia and leave you all in peace. Remember, she's evil and is always trying to make trouble. But she breaks her promise, or here it says betrays her promise, means the same thing. And she attacks Aslan's people. So moving on to the next paragraph, it says the fight is hard. So they're really fighting. But Edmund offers a piece of vital knowledge. What does he know that's going to help his side? Remember, he's now with the good guys because Aslan was willing to trade with Edmund, so he offered himself in Edmund's place. What is this vital piece of knowledge that he has, Tom?
Well, he knows that without her wand, the witch can't use her magic that turns people to stone. So remember, he spent some time with the White Witch, and he was able to learn some things about her. He kind of learned her secret there. And this is vital knowledge. It's very important. It's crucial. Without that information, you can't do something. Success is vital. Sometimes good grades are vital if you plan to go to a good school after high school, etc. And of course, we know that witches or magicians a lot of times have a wand, which is a long kind of stick. Magicians' wands are usually black with white tips, but magic wands sometimes have like a star at the end of it, or a circle or a ring or something. So she has a magic wand, but if she doesn't have it, then she can't use it to turn people to stone.
Now, most of our listeners have seen or read the Harry Potter books, so they know what wands look like. The wizards and witches all have wands, and wands have a lot of power in them, of course. Well, he is able to share this piece of essential or critical knowledge about the White Witch. And it gives you the idea that, wow, if they can just break her wand, things will change. So at great cost to himself, Edmund himself goes and breaks the wand. When you say at great cost to someone, it just means they had to sacrifice a lot to accomplish something, whatever it was. So at great cost to himself. Does he get injured in as he's trying to break her wand. Tom, do you remember that part in the movie?
It was a long time ago. I don't really remember, but we can basically assume here that he sacrificed something here in order to break that wand. He's trying to protect the good people of Aslan, or excuse me, of Narnia. And, of course, he doesn't want to betray his siblings again. So, again, it's at a great cost to himself. He breaks that wand. And despite these efforts, even though he made these efforts, Aslan's people are nearly defeated when suddenly Aslan appears. So, yes, he did break the wand, but I guess the witch was just too powerful, and the people of Aslan were almost defeated. They were almost beaten and totally killed off. But then, out of the blue, suddenly Aslan appears. The lion has come back from the dead, like Lazarus.
Yeah, and he's bringing an army of creatures freed from the White Witch's curse. Remember, she would use her wand to turn people, or the animals, into stone. So he has rescued these creatures. He's freed them from her curse, which, of course, you know, witches and wizards, they can put curses on you. Magically, of course. So with their assistance, and that just refers to the army of creatures, all of these creatures, the battle is won by the good guys. So Lucy, Edmund, Susan, and Peter are then crowned kings and queens of Narnia. Cool. So these little kids get to be crowned kings and queens. So they probably have one of those cool-looking crowns that kings and queens have that you've probably seen in real life. For example, Queen Elizabeth, who is over the UK, she's a queen. She has got a couple of really cool crowns. So many years later, we're going to skip ahead in time. What happens then? After years pass by, Tom?
Well, they are riding through the woods. Of course, they're still royalty. They're princes and princesses and stuff like that. So they're riding through the woods on their horses, and they see something odd, something strange, something unusual, and they follow it, they see it, and they go after it, and then they find themselves back in the wardrobe, which again is that piece of furniture that has doors that swing open, and sometimes they have drawers, and you put your clothes inside that thing. So again, they're back in the wardrobe, and they are back in England, and they are back to being children. So I guess they spent their time in the magical land of Narnia, and maybe they kind of forgot that they were actually kids living at that country manor in England somewhere.
Yeah.
I would probably forget about that if I were to live in the magical land of Narnia, and if I were a prince or princess or something like that, I'd probably forget about it. But they went for a ride, and they were back in the wardrobe, they were back in England, and they were children again.
Right, so they returned to their previous life where animals actually don't talk and they weren't kings and queens. So they will never forget their adventures, though, and always retain the noble bearing they learned as royalty in Narnia. If you retain something, it just means you keep it or you remember it. Maybe you can keep some sort of possession, retain a house maybe that was given to you, or I inherited some really cool things from my mom and I'm retaining them for posterity, for people that come after me. Now, if you're talking about someone's noble bearing, it's just the way they hold themselves, how they stand, how they walk, how they treat other people. Nobility is supposed to be very gracious and elegant and behave well. And when you talk about the royalty, of course, you're just talking about kings, queens, princes, princesses, people who supposedly have royal blood. They have some sort of status in the royal family. So they'll always remember that, even though their adventure looks like it's over.
And remember earlier in the story when Lucy first discovered Narnia, she went out and met that forest creature, and when she came back, it was like no time had passed. So I guess that's similar here. They spent many years in Narnia as princes and princesses, and then they returned, and they were children again. So it's kind of a magical story. and we'll continue talking about it in our next program. We'll talk about the author, and we'll talk about the story and why we think you might enjoy reading it. So that brings us to the end of our summary for today. It's time now to turn things over to our Chinese teacher.
如同许多故事一样，结局是光明战胜黑暗。幸好狮子女巫魔衣橱里面也有重现光明的鹤。Edmund 知道女巫没了魔杖，就不能使坏把人变成石头，他就勇敢地把魔杖弄断了。不过并不是从此就一帆风顺，最后还是 Aslan 死而复生拯救了大家。然而最终冒险结束了，这4个孩子带着神奇的经历回到了衣橱。请看第2句 At great cost to himself， 这个片语 at great cost 的意思是以什么为代价。好，比方说 The firefighter saved the hotel guest at cost to his own life。 饭店着火了，那有消防队员呢英勇的救火，不过却牺牲了自己的生命，用自己的生命来拯救饭店里面的旅客。The firefighter saved the hotel guests at cost to his own life。 那有一个很类似的片语是 at the expense of， 也是以什么为代价的意思。You should not achieve good grades at the expense of your health。 你不应该牺牲自己的健康来换得好成绩。好，接下来请看到第4句 He has come back from the dead， 这就是死而复生的意思。那还有一个片语也是有复生的意思，是 come back to life。 come back to life。 好，我们请同学看到最后一句 They will never forget their adventures though and always retain the noble bearing they learned as royalty in Narnia。 请同学注意到这里的 bearing， 这里的 bearing 的意思呢是气质风度的意思。那这些孩子虽然回到了原本的世界，仍然保有了这些纳尼亚王国贵族的气质还有风度。好，以上就是我们今天的中文讲解，谢谢大家。
That's all for today, everybody. Please make sure you join us again next time when we actually talk about what this story is about, and we'll also talk a little bit about the author, C.S. Lewis. I know you're all looking forward to joining us then. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.